Hey, how's it going? Today we're going to be playing some Gholdengo EX. This deck managed to win a special event this weekend. It was only a couple hundred people, but that's still a decent sized tournament for Gholdengo to win. Jose Marrero was the one that ended up winning it. He tends to just play whatever deck he deems as either the best or the most fun to him, which is kind of respectable, just playing the deck that you like the best. I don't have the most amount of faith in Gholdengo being a great deck, but you know, you can't deny it got top 16 at Stockholm as well, which is pretty good. But I don't know, it's an interesting deck the way that people have decided to build it with like a minimal amount of supporter cards in it. Oh, and we got super lucky there. Greninja into a Buddy Poffin, but in this matchup I know I'm not getting knocked out anyway, so I was kind of fine with just passing with the Gimmighoul in the active and the Greninja on the bench, but getting Varoom down is pretty good. And that is one of the changes that Jose made with his list, was he added a Revavroom to it, and the person that got top 16 at Stockholm played a Bibarel, so both of them decided that the deck needed a little bit of extra draw, which I kind of agree. I've been like messing around with this deck every once in a while, and I'm just like not super impressed with it every time I play it. Like, it's super clunky, and I just threw this game in there because this is the best start that I've gotten out of any of the like many games that I've played here. Because I think this must be what's happening with the people that like play this deck all the time and think it's really good, is they just get pop-off turns like this. So I'm going to Ultra Ball here. It feels bad getting rid of my only Iono, but I can grab a Gholdengo. I'm also debating like just getting a Scyther there and drawing and hoping to get into Manaphy and denying them the first two prizes. But my thought is that they can knock me out, and they might not. They have no water energies in their discard pile yet. They didn't start Chi-Pao, so that's usually rough makes it hard for the deck to get going like with energies as quick as they want to. So if they don't knock me out, I just basically win. If they do knock me out, I can offset the prize trade with a Scizor next turn, which maybe that's what I should have got instead of the second Gimmighoul off of the Buddy Poffin, but I didn't. We're here now. So I have Cipher in hand. I've already drawn like a fair amount of cards. This is making the deck feel a lot better. I was debating not ciphering. I was hoping to hit boss to get the first two prizes, but I decided to get a Vessel for this turn and a Poffin for next turn. I am expecting to get knocked out, and I am going to want to put down another Gimmighoul, or I could bench the second Scizor out of hand, or Scyther. Either way, I'm going to have the option to do whatever I want next turn. And I take the knockout, get Counter Catcher out of the prizes, which also could come in handy next turn, because if they knock me out, I am going to be able to use that. And I could chase down their Baxcalibur or whatever, but this deck doesn't play like the most gust. I think I got two boss. Oh, I do have two boss and a Counter Catcher and a Prime Catcher. I saw a few of the lists playing one boss and like a Pal Pad. I'm not really sure. I just went with two boss because an aggressive deck like this feels like you're gonna want to just be gusting a lot. And they just Ultra Balled away their Prime Catcher and a Superior. My only guess can be is that they had triple Superior in their hand, because I've had that happen with Chi-Pao as well, and it feels terrible, but you have to get rid of something with the Ultra Ball to even like hope to stay in the game. But that was kind of a boring game, but that just kind of showed, I think, the ideal setup that you're looking for with this deck. And if you can get a setup like that every game, I could see this deck certainly winning against a lot of other matchups. But this is the deck list. It's pretty straightforward. I opted for the Scizor over the Palkia. With the rise of Chi-Pao everywhere, Scizor is really, really good against Chi-Pao. If they have a Baxcalibur and a Chi-Pao in play, that's enough abilities to one-shot their Chi-Pao, so that's really good. I stuck with the Revavroom because I think it's pretty cool. Drawing till 6 is really strong. And also, you do want to get your energy cards in the discard pile, because with the 4 Superior and the 3 Energy Retrievals, you have access to those energies pretty regularly throughout the game. And yeah, I went with the Mortys as the other draw. Mortys can be very strong. Almost every single deck wants to fill their bench right now, and there's not really super good options for draw 3 supporters. Like, you could play Worker, but then you'd be discarding your own PokéStop when you might not want to. Worker could be better, but Morty, the times that I used it, was really powerful. And Cipher is going to be the main draw support of this deck. I have seen a few other lists using Cipher as the main draw support, so it kind of makes sense. You can get any 2 cards that you want. You have a lot of access to those cards with the Gholdengo ability, the Greninja, and so on. Also, you are going to want to go first with this deck, since you don't really play the most amount of draw supporters anyway. I don't know, there's really no advantage to going second. You want to evolve your guys first. You're just hoping to get into like a Buddy Poffin or something to get going. Yeah, I don't know, this deck is pretty cool. It could definitely use some more like ways to draw cards, but I don't know, there's not really that much room for it with everything you want. And I've like consistently seen people doing well online over and over again with these deck lists with barely any draw supporters in it, so I wanted to try it out. I've been wanting to do a video on this for a while, but just haven't gotten to it since this seems so sketchy to me, and now we're getting to the end of the format. I don't have the most amount of ideas anymore, or don't really know what to do, so I decided to do this one. But someone left a comment about a pretty interesting deck that hopefully I'll be doing tomorrow, so let's get into the next game. Alright, we get to go first in this game. I think my opponent won the coin flip and let me go first, so we'll take it. I start Manaphy, that's fine, that's whatever. We have a Poffin, so that's all I can really ask for. So now I can Poffin for probably 2 Gimmighouls, and maybe just go for the PokéStop and hope to hit another one. That's always the dream, right? Because in this matchup, Scizor is a fine attacker, but it's not super necessary. That PokéStop sucked. I even thinned the energy out of my deck, and this deck is mostly items, and I just hit Gholdengo, boss, Scizor. Ah, that feels so bad. But Scizor is like fine to take the first prize with, but you're also kind of, I don't know, either way you're kind of giving them 2 prizes, but with Gholdengo in the active, you're forcing them to work a lot harder because they need all 4 of their Iron Crowns and the tool to one-shot a Gholdengo. So Scizor is going to kind of sit on the sideline in this matchup, which is the same that Palkia would be doing. You wouldn't be choosing to attack with Palkia in this matchup either. And I think Greninja would probably be the ideal starter in this matchup, but because they can't knock it out and take the first prize. But we started Manaphy, didn't really have much of a choice. And also my next hand is really awkward. I'm really hoping to top deck Gholdengo or a draw supporter like Morty or Iono. Preferably not Iono, but I would play it if I got it. But Morty would be really cool, and we don't, so I have to get like Ultra Ball and Poffin or Nest Ball and PAF. Oh, Nest Ball and Poffin. I probably should have got Ultra Ball, but I'm saying I don't really have the cards to Ultra Ball out of my hand this turn, so I'm going to try to Greninja into the Gholdengo. And of course I don't, which is rather unfortunate. I can retreat into Greninja. I could call for family. I end up going with the call for family just so that I can have 3 Gimmighouls down. I don't know, that's kind of awkward, but if they knock me out if like they have to get a generator and a way to retreat to amp me, and they would also need to put the tool on their Iron Hands, or else I would just be really far ahead. This is giving them the opportunity to set up a second Iron Hands, which is kind of what the Future Hands deck wants to do most of the time. But I should be able to out-trade them. Hopefully at some point they won't be able to one-shot one of my Gholdengos. So that's kind of what I'm thinking with that. And the reason that I got the Scyther last turn is because it has free retreat. It's just very nice to have a free retreater. And you never know when it could come in handy, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of questionable. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten it. Maybe I think I prized my Varoom this game, though. It's kind of weird. You have free retreat, but retreating's like one of the first actions you have to do to start using your Gholdengo ability. But I can just get Prime Catcher and another Gholdengo so that I can like retreat, draw with draw 2 with the Gholdengo, and then Prime Catcher and draw 2 with another Gholdengo, and be able to take 2 prizes. But I draw into the Counter Catcher, and in hindsight, that was the correct card to get off of the Cipher. I just kind of tunnel visioned on getting the Prime Catcher as a way to draw more cards, but now that I have the Counter Catcher, I might as well use it. PokéStop has not been kind to me in this deck at all. For a deck that's like, I don't know, mostly item cards, I don't hit items very often off of it. And using all three of those retrievals there kind of sucks, because retrieval, the idea of three of them is it's in there to combine with a superior energy retrieval, so that you don't have to double superior to get more than 4 energy for a knockout. Because a lot of these knockouts are going to be like 5 to 6 energy, and just having to use 2 superior feels really bad, where superior plus retrieval plus like having energy naturally in hand is like pretty reliable. And they attach the future capsule, just committing right already to one-shotting my Gholdengo, which puts them in a terrible spot. Kind of getting the second lightning down on the Miraidon means that they can one-shot another one next turn, but they have to hit like one of their probably 1 or 2 psychics and their tool, and they only have 1 card in hand, which I think is a research that they just keep not playing for some reason. I don't know. I looked at the log at some point during the game, I remember, and I thought they had a research in hand, but I don't know. Let's see if they're gonna play it. It would be really weird of them. I thought it was strange that they were holding the research the whole time. I assumed they had something good in their hand, but that must have been a research they mailed off a PokéStop or something. I'm not really too sure, but with them not having another big attacker down and a way to move their energy back, it's pretty decent odds that I win this game. An Iono would be ideal. It would be kind of risky, but I don't know, it would put me in such a good spot, and I do hit it off of the concealed cards. I don't know, it kind of sucks because I have no ways to draw, but what I'm thinking is I have all those superiors and vessels in my deck, and I can Iono to 4 and PokéStop, so there's really good odds that I hit what I need off of it, and I do, which is pretty lucky. Or not lucky, it's just like the odds of what's going to happen. I don't even have to use the PokéStop. And I can just Vessel for energy and then superior the energy away. Or I have to PokéStop for another card to have 5 in my hand. And I guess I drew most of the items, so it's pretty decent that I milled some good cards, but I kind of had to do it. And I still had to use both superiors. That sucks. I always forget about the hand attachment with Gholdengo. And I'm like, oh, I need 5 energy, but really you need 6. So with getting that Irida off of the prizes, that puts me in a really good spot. And I did cut the Irida for a second Morty's after this game, because Irida is like, it's fine. It did give me the Prime Catcher in this situation, but Morty probably also would have gotten me the Prime Catcher, so, or definitely would have, because I would draw my whole deck with the combination of Morty and my Gholdengo abilities. But I get Iono'd anyway, and I draw Revavroom. So now that's also pretty good odds to just draw my entire deck, because I'm going to find a way to get an energy, and then I can draw up to 6 off the Revavroom in between PokéStop and Gholdengo and Greninja. I will be able to draw every single card, so there will be some sort of way that I'll be able to Prime Catcher and get enough energy to knock out the guy. So I decided to use all my abilities because I have Ultra Ball in hand. I can thin my hand down, and now that should be more than enough cards to get to the other superior in my deck. I can just like Ultra Ball away a couple things and then superior away the rest of the cards, and then draw with Revavroom and get to the other superior or the energy. I think this is a pretty favored matchup for Gholdengo. I don't know, I've won it from the future hand side in the past, and it didn't feel terrible. It did feel like I got a little bit lucky, but it's definitely winnable for future hands. You just have to have access to all 4 of your Iron Crowns, and they did, but I got the first 2 prizes, which really put me ahead in that matchup. Alright, so we're up against Lost Zone, and they chose to go first. I personally like to go second with Lost Zone, but I guess that they're just blindly choosing first because there's a lot of decks that if they can just get off a turn 2 Greninja before they can get a Manaphy down, it puts them in a really good spot. And they get kind of a nuts start here. They go from like, it kind of seemed like they weren't going to do much to just having 3 comfies and having 3 switch carts as well, which is pretty good. That's a pretty good start. I've not had that much luck going first with Lost Box lately. If this is what happened when I went first, I would choose to go first with Lost Box, but typically I have kind of a dead hand with maybe a Colress, which is a fine enough hand to win most games. So I don't know, I just choose second. Maybe it's like against Chi and Pao, I would choose to go first, and maybe Charizard if I knew going into it. Maybe not Charizard, because I do kind of like going second. I'm not sure. I kind of just prefer losing the coin flip, because I don't like the pressure of choosing which way to go, and I'm fine with most decks that I play. I'm fine with going first or second. So I usually just hope my opponent wins and makes it so that I don't have to choose, which is kind of like one of the dumbest things to worry about. But I don't know. Lost Zone, it's typically what I play is Lost Box, and that deck can win like every matchup, I think, going second. But they Colress and get rid of 2 switches, and they're down 3 switch cards, and they have 3 switches in the Lost Zone. So I just can't imagine what combination of cards could have been on that Colress where it's correct for them to get rid of the rest of their switching cards. Yeah, I'm not sure, but they really like burn everything here to get the Greninja off. And normally if they Greninja me here, I would just concede because they're so far ahead, but based on like how they're playing and the cards that are in the discard in the Lost Zone, I think that there's pretty good odds that I could win this game based on them just not being able to do anything at a certain point, because now they're down every single switch card in their deck except Prime Catcher and 3 out of the 4 Mirage Gates. But of course they play 4 switch, like no other Lost Box plays 4 regular switch, so now they're definitely down all their switching cards and 3 Mirage Gates. So I draw top deck a Scyther. I'm going to use PokéStop, get bodied by it again. I can Earthen Vessel here just to thin out my deck, draw with Greninja. This is kind of a hard decision of what to discard off Earthen Vessel. It takes me a second, but it's just Energy Retrieval is probably the correct choice. Gotta go with that. And I can draw a little bit with Greninja. And I have to bench the Scyther just so I don't just lose the game. And I can attach to one of them so that I can attack next turn if they will let me, and if I draw the appropriate cards. But this kind of puts them in a spot where they need to either attack with, if they can get to Sableye, that's pretty good, or they can attack with Raikou, which they should have put a lightning onto the Raikou instead of the darkness onto the Comfey probably, because they thought that they hadn't retreated yet, but that was like one of the first things that they did last turn. And they PokéStop away a Darkrai V. I think that that's probably why they were so like liberal with getting rid of all their switch cards. But now they milled it with PokéStop, and I don't know. They can definitely get it back, but it makes a little more sense now. And they only have 5 cards left in their deck. This is insane. I don't even know how they went through their deck this fast. But they benched the Sableye and Mirage Gate. They gotta put, yeah, they have to like build up future attackers. And I don't know why they opt to go with Greninja here. I guess Scyther is kind of a threat to them, and they might not have enough in the Lost Zone to attack with Sableye yet. And finally, I top deck something, and I can just get double Buddy Poffin and guarantee that I can get some resemblance of a setup next turn. I do, yeah, I'm like looking through to see what I have to super add back, and just kind of like planning out some kind of way to win the game. These situations are always a little weird because there is a way to win the game usually when your opponent is down this many resources. It's just figuring out what it is can be kind of tricky. And I super add back those 2. Maybe I should have put the Gholdengo back, but I do for some reason decide to get the Scyther here. That was probably a mistake, because I can assume that they're going to Sableye my Greninja and one of my Gimmighouls, or just 2 of my Gimmighouls, or some sort of combination of those Pokemon. So I didn't really need the Scyther down, but I got it, and that is probably the decision that could lose me this game. But they Colress, that is the rest of their cards in their deck. They get rid of Nest Ball, Lost Vacuum. I don't know. At a certain point, like, you just don't need to keep playing cards as Lost Backs. Like, I notice a lot of people doing this. Like, sometimes you can just pass. Or not pass, you can just not support her for turn. It's fine. If you have everything you need and there's nothing you're looking for, like, usually when you have everything you need, the only reason typically to play a supporter card is to get closer to using like Boss's Order or Counter Catcher on the next turn. But now I finally get a Gholdengo out. I can start drawing and I can PokéStop again. I'll probably, you know, I'm hoping to hit an Ultra Ball because I want to evolve that Scizor, and I mill a Scizor, but I do hit an Ultra Ball and there's another one in the deck. And my thought process here is, if I evolve, I'm assuming that they have access to get Sableye next turn because they have access to all of their deck. So all they need to do is promote Comfy, Super Rod, Nest Ball, and attach Psychic, and like Comfy into the Psychic as well. But that would kind of like require them to have 2 Super Rods to not deck out. So I don't know, maybe I should have thought a little further about that, because I evolved. Well, yeah, the idea of evolving the Scizor is my opponent has not like displayed the best I don't know, choices and stuff this game, so I'm hoping that maybe they just think Scyther has more than 120 HP, which is kind of stupid. I should have just not benched it in the first place, but if I did bench it, I should have left it as a Scyther, because this is the only way I can win the game. Of course, you would think I can draw most of my deck, so there's decent odds that I hit my Prime Catcher and knock out this Raikou, so that's what I'm going to go for. I'm really struggling on whether or not to bench the Varoom, but I already have Scizor in play, so I might as well. They got rid of their Cramorant too, which, I don't know. They got rid of Cramorant and Rescue Board at a certain point after already being down all their switch cards. So I really like should have good odds to, I don't know, just have like them deck out basically. But one of my last 2 cards in deck is the Prime Catcher. That is truly unfortunate because I would be able to Prime Catcher up the Raikou, knock it out, and then use my Superiors next turn and Roxanne them and put energy back in my deck so that I don't deck out before I take all of my prizes. But I whiffed the Prime Catcher. I don't know, I had probably like at least 75% odds to hit that Prime Catcher. But whatever, I don't know, I just wanted to show that because that was kind of a wild game, and even with just getting completely dominated at the beginning, there was still, I would say, like pretty good odds that I was able to win that game. But I benched the Scyther and I evolved into a Scizor, and that was a mistake, so I probably didn't deserve to win it. Also, this is the list that Jose won the SP with. I just wanted to show that off. It's got the Palkia and the Canceling Clone. I do wonder how many times that combo actually happens, if it's good enough to even keep in the deck. That's kind of why I lean towards the Scizor version, because even in Chi-Pao, getting that combo off doesn't happen that often when I've played it, at least. I've just not had the ability to get access to those cards all at the same time when it matters. But anyway, that's been Gholdengo, and take care.